Here's Candace Owens calling Crowder out on her own show. This is just yesterday. Shapiro just said, oh, go watch Boring's video. And they're going to stay above the fray. Mm-hmm. They're going to say, but they're going to send out Owens and Walsh.
Well, she's always willing to do the dirty work for her employer.
Nothing happened here other than nobody wanted to pay Steven Crowder $120 million. So he turned to his viewers, who he thinks are stupid enough at least not to understand how business negotiations work, right? Like, this is like normal. You kick it back and forth. And they were going to make up for his loss. So people that are upset by his video, the millions of people who watched it, are now going to give him $1, whatever it costs to be in the mug club. And they're going to become the $120 million that he feels that he deserves. First of all, we're just going to say this, unrelatable. Unrelatable. People are trying to pay for bacon and eggs right now at the grocery store, trying to buy a steak once a week, and you're over here crying because somebody couldn't meet you at $120 million. And it is crying. I don't like it. It was a total bitch move. There are plenty of things that happen across all organizations in the conservative movement where I will say that I empathize with Steven Crowder and saying that sometimes you feel like a cynic, which is like, is everybody selling out? Are people doing this, people doing that? There are a lot of things that Daily Wire has done that I disagree with. There's a lot of things that Turning Point has done that I disagree with. There are things perhaps that PragerU has done that I disagree with. I have worked with all of these companies, right? But to do a total bitch move and go out to the public rather than trying to resolve these things and these slight differences behind the scenes, and to make it seem like you're the hero and you're the true one and you keep it authentic when something really nothing happened other than you didn't like an initial term sheet, and all you had to do was tell them that and tell them what you didn't like and go back and forth with lawyers like everybody else. I think it's crappy. I think Steven is a little egocentric. He probably will do better on his own. I don't think he knows how to plan a team. And by the way, the last thing I'm going to say, because I'm going on Tim Pool tonight, so I'm going to say it anyways later, is that I'm pretty sure, wasn't it Steven Crowder who also screwed over somebody he used to work with? Was it not Gay Jared? Because he had him tied up in a contract. Wasn't that Steven Crowder who did that? So is he supposed to be the moral high bar? Or are we not supposed to call him out for that? Here's the thing. Steven, why don't you release Not Gay Jared from his NDA and allow him to talk about how he felt he was treated by you? Because I know that at the Blaze, everyone says that you're actually not that nice. You treat people poorly, but you bring in so much revenue that everybody just has to take it. So I don't like it. It stinks to high heaven. And I'm calling you out on that because I think it was crappy that you threw mud on me. Did it the first time via a tweet a long time ago. You're not doing it a second time. Total bitch move. Next.
All right.
You're a little bitch.
Now
that's what she said. She said, you're a little bitch, Crowder. You're a little bitch.
First off, release that guy from
Not Gay Jared, please.
Not Gay Jared from the NDA. Mm-hmm. That should be a hashtag for people, honestly.
And Stunt Computer too, I think.
And come on the Majority Report.
Listen, I just want to say, look, obviously I have no dog in this fight. As far as I'm concerned, the dogs in this fight, with all due respect to dogs, I wouldn't say this, I'm saying this metaphorically, both can eat each other.
Yeah,
I would like to see both of them simultaneously get into a situation where they grab around each other's necks and bite simultaneously.
My dog in this fight,
like a Reservoir Dogs situation.
Yeah. My dog in this fight is whichever dog appears to be losing at the moment. So we need to support that dog so it can get back on its feet.
But because of that, because I don't genuinely have a dog in this fight, I feel like I can mediate it. And so I think the honorable thing to do is to release Not Gay Jared from the NDA. I think that has to happen before we bring anybody together. If the conservative online community is going to unify, that has to happen.
And I thought these guys were the free speech warriors too. I'm surprised that they include NDAs in their contracts since they're so principled about everybody being able to say what they feel.
That seems exploitive to me.
Yeah.
But what would be really interesting, and this would be really actually quite fun, if Lena Khan at the FTC has her way, I wonder about that non-disclosure. I wonder if it also involves...
If it's retroactive?
I guess theirs is a non-compete. We should get rid of non-disclosures too. In favor of that. But, all right,
Drain the swamp.
So, okay. This is an interesting clip of Candace Owens because it's the first time she said anything that makes any sense, which is she knows what he's doing because she does the same damn thing. They're all scammy as hell.
Yeah.
Lying that there's some higher purpose of what they're doing. Crowder's not doing this to protect younger people. What has Crowder ever done for someone? Who is Crowder? Everybody on his show is older than him. What young guy is Crowder brought in to the thing? He's just like found like used people in the trash heap and said like, come on the show. I can underpay you. You got nothing to go
maybe
for.
Kyle Rittenhouse.
Yeah.
I guess, but is he really? He's not paying.
No. Just expose.
Does he open up the door?
Maybe next. Yeah, maybe that's.
I mean,
has he
offered his platform to anybody? Like, when has Steven Crowder helped anybody bring the people behind him?
Just to write up on this not gay Jared thing, by the way, Jared's decision to leave has also been linked to Sven Computer. It's alleged that the show was facing a financial crisis and the hosts of the show were not being paid their salaries at the time when he resigned from the position. One of the crew members, Sven Computer, was owed $10,000 in unpaid wages, and this was tearing the crew apart.
Oh, that's how you bring.
He's just looking out.
That's
for
how
people.
you don't pull up the ladder with the people behind you by not paying.
You pull up the $10,000 instead.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I still gave you a ladder. Here is Candace Owens. Well, no, and here's Matt Walsh from the Daily Wire weighing in on all this. Negotiations ended amicably. Then he called weeks after the fact. Actually, it turned out to be months. It's hard to know who to disbelieve from the Daily Wire because they're all pathological liars. So it's hard to know which person you should distrust more. But then he called weeks after the fact and secretly recorded a conversation so he could pull this stunt. That's the point. Walsh understands what this is too. It's a stunt. It's one of the lowest things I've ever seen in this business. A total betrayal of his friends and people who have supported and helped him.
And Walsh is a total bottom feeder, so when he says that,
exactly.
Yeah.
No sane person will ever do business with a man who treats his friends like this and secretly records phone calls with a person he's known for years. He'll get his YouTube views out of this, though. I hope it was worth it for him. Well, he believes it will. It won't be just the YouTube from this one video. This is his entire business plan.
Do you think it'll work out for him?
I don't, because I'm literally,
don't.
I checked out the comments on that video of Crowder's, and they're like, they say his audience, this is a miscalculation.
Yeah.
I like you both. I hate, it hurts them to see them fighting like this. But
it really does hurt.
Yeah,
but he says, if you're dumb enough to buy the I'm just looking out for young creators shtick in that call, I don't know what to tell you. He knew it was being recorded and that he'd release it. He was performing in the call for his audience. You need to be smart enough to see that. Walsh is right. I mean, listen, like I say, I don't have a dog in this fight. I wouldn't let either one of these guys clean my bathroom with a toothbrush. Let's put it that way. That's what you say when you don't want to get litigation or you don't want to be offensive. And, but I got to admit, when Walsh is right, he's right. Crowder is duping his people.
And also, he's also exposing the Daily Wire, because that comment is going to stick with Jeremy Boring about they'll get to be wage slaves a little bit. Every time the Daily Wire tries to launch a new talent, that's what I'm going to call it.
Well, but that's it. But it's worse than that for the Daily Wire, because we know the Daily Wire employs exploitive practices, because I happen to agree with Crowder. I think that contract is exploitive. It's just that Crowder has never admitted that an exploitive contract could exist.
Yep.
But I agree with his assessment for the one time, like the
sort of creator union.
The curtains have. I think yes. I think it's disgusting the way that they treat their people at the Daily Wire, and I think people should boycott the Daily Wire.
I mean, this is what collective bargaining is for, isn't it?
Here is Candace Owens on Tim Pool, and of course Tim Pool is the only smart one in all of this, because he's got Crowder coming on Monday.
Oh yeah.
Awesome.
Now, is it me or is Tim Pool just adding weapons behind him every day?
That's how I got through.
Yeah. I got news for you. That guitar does not kill fascists. That guitar actually accompanies fascists.
It plays Ace of Base covers.
Exactly. But here is Tim Pool with Candace Owens. He's on this. They all rush to Tim Pool because, and I just want to say, like, look, available. If Candace Owens wants to come on the show and dish on Crowder, if Crowder wants to come on, dish on Daily Wire,
this is a labor dispute.
I will give them free reign for the first 15, 20 minutes. And then maybe we'll talk about some other things. But they'll have the first 20 minutes unencumbered. Just
to these terms. And they don't.
And in that capacity, he hits Brett Cooper. Right now, he's basically, so who is a young upcoming talent that got signed with the? There's only what
5 hosts of shows on the Daily Wire. I mean, so you're talking about Matt Walsh? No, he's not young upcoming talent that's just been signed. Are you talking about Michael Knowles? No, he's not young upcoming. You're not talking about Candace Owens. I don't think we would say Andrew Klavan is young upcoming talent.
No way.
You're talking about Brett Cooper. That's insulting to Brett Cooper. You have no idea he's just saying shit, right? And it's not like he's reached out to us and said, hey, like, I'm doing this for all of us. Like, it's not he reached out independently to Daily Wire hosts and been like, are you dealing with these egregious terms? No, he is doing this purely, let's not even try to make this anything but a selfish act that was to benefit Steven Crowder, who wants to launch his own network. Because, and by the way, I gotta say this is the most important part of this, and nobody is talking about this. He receives the term sheet, okay, and he thinks it's so egregious that he's got to make this video 4 months later, right? I don't know what happened in those 4 months after they started negotiating. I guess Steven Crowder woke up, new year, new me. I hate the Daily Wire, so I'm going to go after them. He thinks it's so egregious. The first thing he does is counteroffer and say, let's start talking about 140 million. Okay. So if it was so outrageous, why did he go back to them and say, no, actually we can have this conversation, but let's start talking about 140 million. Right. It was only when the Daily Wire then turned that down that the term sheet became so egregious that he had to do something about it.
I'll just add real quick to everybody. Steven Crowder is coming on the show on Monday. I know he's not here to defend himself.
Did you speak to him? Because he might have recorded your conversation. So you might want to comment about whatever the hell it is you said to him.
I mean,
I gotta say, this is really, this might be the most juvenile like video or like thing that we've ever talked about on this show, and we've talked about some pretty juvenile things. But this is
6,000 people watching right now.
So. There you go, capitalism. But this is, I mean, look, I gotta say, like again, I don't have a dog in this fight, but I think Candace Owens is right. But I also think that she stumbled upon this concept of worker solidarity, which she's talking about, and is criticizing Crowder for, leveraging really the solidarity that should be there amongst workers against the management. It has been so instructive how when they get into this fight, both parties have basically accepted many of the terms that people on the left, progressives, even center left, have talked about. The idea of exploitive contracts, the idea that there is asymmetry in the marketplace, and that people can be stuck in exploitive agreements, and that the relationship between management and workers can be exploitive. They've all conceded that. They have all conceded this one point, which they have argued the entire existence of their public lives against. They've talked about like the idea of like lack of solidarity amongst workers. I mean, they've also.
So it's funny because like Crowder's call to action is like he says like this is all creators, but really it's join the Mug Club and support me and my show.
Yes,
and it's not like we should all like start a creators union to fight these contracts.
And they also have made it clear too the incredible amounts of money that they must have been invested in these type of operations. Like when people talk about like how absolutely out of control, TYT is. They got an investment over the course of like, I don't know, 4 or 5 years or something of $20 million to have an operation that is at least as large as what the Daily Wire. Daily Wire, the amount of money that must have poured in there, that they can acquire Prager University too, and he acquired the conservative, and he considered $130 million. They've got a lot of money. They've got a lot of money. And it didn't come out of nowhere. You don't buy $1 million worth of Facebook ads like Ben Shapiro did a couple of years ago based upon your operating revenue. No. They have money that is invested in there, and I don't think that money expects returns, 100x, 10x returns like venture capital money generally does.
And if you're Crowder, that would drive you crazy if you knew it was there to be taken and they're not giving it to you.
Yes. Huh. And I bet you Crowder thinks that he can access that money too. Yeah. Now, it remains to be seen whether he can get somebody to come in, but I think Candace Owens is on to something in terms of because something happened over this period of time. And it wasn't the story that Crowder's doing.
No.
So, I mean, Crowder has let's just go run down this just to summarize. Crowder lies to his audience. Crowder concedes that his vision of capitalism has also been a lie because he believes in an exploitive contract, and that can't exist under everything he's ever said about capitalism. We know that the right wing has huge slush fund, that they are not self-made people. They've all been funded by billionaires. Boring admitted as much about his company and all the companies that has propped Crowder up. He's worked for 4 different enterprises, all funded by billionaires. Are you kidding me? And we know that they're all just like scallywags who are pointing at the other ones for being scallywags. So this has been both fun,
yes,
but also I think very educational. And again, want to reiterate, if you guys need somebody who is a completely, like, totally neutral in this, I am willing to sit down with all of you privately and mediate, or to do it on camera if you want, or to talk to you individually. My door is open. You guys know how to reach me.
Yeah.
I also do think it's notable that she mentioned that who's going to come calling now that you recorded the contract and pulled this card here. Because if he is trying to dip into that pool of venture capital money that you say, Sam, perhaps this public fight and recording might scare some people off. He might have gambled a little bit.
Maybe.
It came up snake eyes.
But look, there's always, what we used to call in the film business dentist money. And except for the dentist money in the conservative right-wing thing is like some billionaire, like the late Foster Friess, who just has an idea and is also like, right-wing radical. And it just like, okay, I mean, people paid, Charlie Kirk to run a youth movement, and all it did was, in the one state he focused on, had the worst youth numbers possible. Like they're all
ideological.
Yeah. I mean, he called it big con. He can't help himself. He's telling on himself a little
Get
bit.
the drop one more time, Bradley.
Big tech is in bed with big con.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yep.